Hello, this is Paul Chek. Welcome to Spirituality or 10 Commandments You Choose, Lesson 12. In this lesson, we will look at the 8th commandment in the Christian, atheist, and Native American Indian philosophies or religions. And again, I would like to share an introduction to the model I've developed so that we're all on the same sheet of music with regard to how I'm making these comparisons. I'm using the I, we, all love model developed by Osho, which I expanded to include unity or unconditional love. Again, unconditional love is that which cannot be known as, or pure subject, or consciousness itself. God, zero, soul, unconditional love, they all essentially mean the same thing. Anything created is essentially being held together as an idea, or therefore is ensouled. Soul meaning that which is moving without moving, or the axle of evolution. An axle does not move, yet is essential for the wheel to roll. God does not move. To move would be to create a condition. God is sometimes referred to as the unmoved mover, or in Chinese philosophy, Wei Wu Wei, action without action. That exemplifies unconditional love. That is within us. That is what gives us consciousness. Mind is when consciousness of begins, so then subject has its object. Our love model begins out here on the very edge, where if you look at this as a tornado, as we probably all know, the outer edges of a tornado are the most destructive, yet there is stillness in the middle. So sex and violence loving is typically what I would refer to as loving without considering the effects on other people involved. We're all born by an act of sex, and the process of learning how to live in relationships, as many of you well know, can be violent. Once we get clear on what we need in order to feel safe and secure or loved in relationships by self, in relationship to other, we rise to the level of we-ness. We're clear about what we need in relationship to other. That's called conditional loving, and as you can see by my arrow here, it's a less turbulent place to be because you're being clear with people in relationships as to what your wants, needs, and desires are. After we've lived through the first two stages, we cultivate wisdom. Wisdom is the product of experience, and at any point in your life when you can see the action of another and realize that they're in a process of cultivating awareness of the truth of life, the truth of love, and the truth of whatever created the universe, sometimes we refer to that as God, then you see that other person and you have empathy and compassion for them because you realize where they're at in their own conscious unfolding. The empathetic and compassionate lover is typically the one who has concern for their actions with respect to all and the actions of others with respect to all. They are essentially like tribal elders. There's an old saying in metaphysics, the best lover is the silent lover and the best teacher is the silent teacher. The empathetic and compassionate lover is approaching that. God or zero or consciousness is the silent lover and is the unconditionally silent teacher. Learning to love is ultimately learning to hear silence. Those that are down here in sex and violence loving are unable as yet to hear the voice of their conscience or their own consciousness. It takes a little bit of trial and error in life to learn to appreciate silence and learn to listen to silence. So with that preface, let's look at our series of commandments for today. We're going to look at commandment number 8. We'll start with the Christian philosophy or religious ideal, you shall not steal. I would say that's wise advice. The idea of stealing means to take something that is not yours. Now, you shall not steal could also be challenged, though. If you're starving to death and it's a choice of stealing or dying, we have to make a distinction here. Is not stealing an apple better than dying to follow a commandment. So I only give this as an example that there's always a gray area with any commandment because you have to look at the circumstances. Is stealing to survive really stealing, or is it surviving? At just an ethical level, you shall not steal is a good idea. But we must always be open to the dynamics of any situation at hand. We can't possibly judge another person, ever, truly, without knowing the entire circumstances and hearing what's on both sides of any given story. So I would suggest that we just be careful with all commandments and try to have a more expansive view. You shall not steal, I would say, is wisdom. I would say that's empathy and compassion if it's depicted and used that way. The atheist's eighth commandment: never seek to censor or cut yourself off from dissent or challenge or opposition. Always respect the right of others to disagree with you. It is everyone's right to disagree with us, and that's the nature of mind itself. Yin and yang go at each other, male and female, hot and cold. Everything in creation is in a perpetual process of creation, destruction, and human beings are no different. How could they be? That's the nature of mind itself. So I would say that that is wise. That is wisdom. Where it falls on our model of sex and violence condition or empathy and compassion, I leave to you. I'll take that as empathy and compassion. Our Native American Indian eighth commandment: dictate a share of your efforts to the greater good. I would say that that is a wise offering only if you're giving a share of your efforts to the greater good because it is an act of love. Many people, particularly in religious philosophies, do these kinds of acts as brownie points in an attempt to get to heaven or to get the favor of God or something like that. If you're dictating a share of your efforts to the greater good out of the love of your heart because you have it in you, that is charitable, that is graceful, that is beautiful. But if you're just trying to earn brownie points, you're taking one step forward and one step backward. The net gain is zero. So as you can probably see by now, there's a number of real challenges with any kind of commandment, no matter how wise the people are. And the challenge with commandments is that the people that need the most are sex and violence lovers, but they're the people that need to develop a sense of autonomy the most, which they do by going against the rules. That's how the ego grows, develops, shapes, and forms itself. And even people that are raised by wise people go through these stages of development. It's natural, it's human. Every dog wants to expand its territory. Every bird's looking for something to eat. And all we can do is learn to live and love together and know that all judgments are unmet needs. So whenever we find a challenge with a so-called commandment, instead of beating someone up or belittling them or making them wrong, I would say it's a good idea to get clear on what the unmet need is and see if we have it in our hearts to either guide them to meeting that need or helping them understand how to meet that need in a healthy, honest way that does not harm or disrupt the lives of others, including all living beings. Thanks for joining me today with commandment number 8 of the Christian, Atheist, and Native American Indian systems. If you're interested in more of my work, you're welcome to visit ppssuccess.com, where you can look at my personal, professional, spiritual training programs, offerings, products, and services. You're also welcome to go to Check Connect, where you can see our social networking forum and many free clips on all sorts of things, from health and exercise to questions like this. And you're also welcome to go to checkinstitute.com, where you can see many of my videos, courses, articles, and a whole bunch of other stuff that might help you to achieve your dreams. So thanks for joining me today. As always, it's been fantastic. I'll look forward to sharing with you when we get to commandment number 9. Be well. Bye-bye.